You've tried everything. You put your phone in another room, you downloaded the app blockers, you set a timer, you made a playlist, you even told yourself this time is different. And yet, 10 minutes into what was supposed to be a 2-hour deep work session, your brain is somewhere else entirely. You're thinking about that weird conversation from 3 days ago. You're wondering what you want for dinner. You're mentally redecorating a room in a house you don't even own yet. So you pick up your phone and you think, oh, that's the problem, the phone. But here's the truth nobody's telling you. Your phone is not the reason you can't focus. It never was. Your phone is just the nearest exit. Your brain was already looking for a way out before you even unlocked the screen. The real reason you can't focus is happening deep inside your brain's chemistry and wiring. And until you understand what's actually going on, no amount of app blocking, phone in another room tricks, or motivational YouTube videos will fix it permanently. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 5 real reasons your brain resists focus, backed by neuroscience, and you'll have a clear, actionable system to fix each one. We're calling it the attention drain system. 5 hidden drains quietly stealing your focus every single day. Let's expose them one by one. Why your brain was never designed to focus. Here's the first thing you need to accept. Your brain did not evolve to sit still and concentrate on one thing for hours. That is not a natural human behavior. For 99% of human history, a brain that stayed locked onto one task for too long was a dead brain. You needed to scan your environment constantly, notice movement, track threats, stay alert to change. The brain that survived was the one that could not stop looking around. That survival wiring is still inside you right now. Your brain's default mode is not focus. Its default mode is scanning, wandering, checking. This is called the default mode network, a system of brain regions that activates the moment you are not actively engaged in a demanding task. The second your focus slips even slightly, the default mode network fires up and pulls your mind somewhere else. This is not a character flaw, this is not laziness. This is ancient hardware running in a modern world. And your phone didn't create it. Your phone just learned how to exploit it better than anything else ever has. So now that you know the root, let's talk about the 5 specific drains pulling your attention apart every day. Attention, drain 1. Dopamine baseline, collapse. Here's something that will change how you think about distraction forever. Focus is not just a mental habit, it is a chemical state. And the key chemical is dopamine. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical. It's not. Dopamine is the anticipation chemical. It fires when your brain expects a reward is coming. The problem is that in today's world, your brain is being hit with dopamine triggers hundreds of times per day. Every notification, every scroll, every new video, every message, every refresh, each one sends a small dopamine hit and then immediately drops. Over time, your brain recalibrates its dopamine baseline upward. It now needs more stimulation just to feel normal. So when you sit down to do something slow, deep, and unrewarding in the short term, just like studying, writing, or working on a project, your brain compares that activity to the dopamine carnival it was just at. And it goes, this is boring, this feels bad, let's leave. This is called dopamine baseline collapse. Your ability to tolerate low stimulation tasks has been eroded by constant high stimulation inputs. Your phone didn't break your focus. The dopamine economy your phone operates within did. The fix. You need to deliberately lower your dopamine inputs for a period before deep work. No music with lyrics, no social media for at least 30 minutes before sitting down to focus, no checking messages right before a session. Start your work in a state of low stimulation so that the task itself doesn't feel like a punishment by comparison. Your brain's tolerance for boredom is a muscle. Every time you sit with low stimulation without reaching for a hit, you rebuild it. Start with 10 minutes, build to 30. The discomfort you feel in those first minutes is not a sign something is wrong. It is the muscle working. Attention. Drain 2, open loop, overload. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focused thinking, planning, and decision-making, runs on something called working memory. Think of working memory like RAM on a computer. It has a limited capacity, and when it fills up, performance slows down dramatically. Here is what fills it up without you realizing. Unfinished tasks, unresolved decisions, unanswered messages, unprocessed worries. Psychologists call these open loops. Your brain does not like open loops. It is wired to keep unfinished business active in working memory so you don't forget it. This was incredibly useful when the unfinished business was, remember to finish building the shelter. It is catastrophic when the unfinished business is 47 different tasks, 3 unread emails, a conversation you need to have, a bill you haven't paid, and a decision you've been avoiding for 2 weeks. Every open loop sitting in your working memory is taking up RAM, and when your RAM is full, trying to focus feels like trying to run a brand new program on a computer that already has 200 tabs open. It stutters, it freezes, it crashes. The fix: before every focus session, do a 2-minute brain dump. Write down every open loop on paper, every task, worry, reminder, and unresolved thought. Get it out of your head and onto the page. This works because your prefrontal cortex does not distinguish between stored in memory and stored on paper. Once it sees the thought is recorded somewhere safe, it releases it from working memory. RAM clears. Processing power returns. You'll feel the difference within minutes of your first brain dump. It sounds too simple to work. It works. Attention, drain 3. Chronic cortisol elevation. This one is invisible and it might be the most powerful drain of all. When your body is under stress, real stress, perceived stress, low-grade background stress, your adrenal glands release cortisol. Cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone. In small, well-timed doses, it is useful. It sharpens alertness. It mobilizes energy. But most people in today's world are not dealing with occasional cortisol spikes. They are dealing with chronically elevated cortisol, low-grade stress that never fully turns off, deadlines, financial pressure, social anxiety, news cycles, sleep debt, relationship tension. None of these trigger a full fight or flight response, but they keep cortisol quietly elevated all day long. Here is what chronically elevated cortisol does to your focus. It keeps your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, on low-level alert, and when the amygdala is active, your prefrontal cortex is suppressed. These two systems have an inverse relationship. When stress goes up, focus capacity goes down. It is neurologically impossible to be in a high cortisol state and a deep focus state at the same time. They are mutually exclusive brain states. This is why you can sit down to work with 0 distractions, no phone in sight, perfect environment, and still feel like your brain refuses to engage. It's not distraction, it's cortisol. Your nervous system is still in low-level survival mode, and your prefrontal cortex is paying the price, the fix. You need to actively downregulate your nervous system before demanding focus from it. 5 slow exhales, longer out than in, activates the parasympathetic nervous system and begins dropping cortisol within 90 seconds. A 10-minute walk before a focus session lowers cortisol and raises BDNF, a brain chemical that literally enhances cognitive function. Cold water on your face triggers the dive reflex, dropping your heart rate rapidly and signaling safety to your nervous system. Any one of these done consistently before deep work sessions will compound over time into dramatically improved focus capacity. Attention drain 4. Scattered intention. Most people sit down to work without actually deciding what they are going to do. They open their laptop, they look at their to-do list, they feel vaguely overwhelmed. They pick something, they switch to something else, they check a message, they come back, they switch again, and at the end of 2 hours they have done 3 hours worth of context switching and 30 minutes worth of actual work. This is not a focus problem, this is an intention problem. Your brain's reticular activating system, the filter that decides what information reaches your conscious awareness, operates based on what you have told it to look for. Without a clear single intention, the RAS has no filter criteria. Everything feels equally important. Every stimulus competes for attention. Your brain has no way to prioritize signal over noise. Neuroscience research shows that task switching, even brief mental switching between topics, costs your brain what researchers call a switching tax. Each switch requires your prefrontal cortex to unload the previous context, reload the new one, and re-establish focus. This process takes anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes per switch. If you are switching tasks every 15 minutes, You are spending most of your session paying the switching tax and almost none of it in actual deep focus. The fix. Before every session, write down one sentence, not a to-do list, one sentence. For the next 45 minutes, I am writing the introduction of my report and nothing else. Specific, singular, time-bounded. This sentence gives your RAS a target. It gives your prefrontal cortex a context to load and hold, and it gives you a clear definition of success, so your brain knows when it has won. Vague intentions produce vague focus. Surgical intentions produce surgical focus. Attention. Drain 5. Sleep debt accumulation. This one is non-negotiable, and most people are underestimating its impact dramatically. Sleep is not just rest. During sleep, specifically during deep, slow-wave sleep, your brain runs a biological cleaning system called the glymphatic system. This system flushes metabolic waste products from brain tissue, including a protein called beta amyloid, which accumulates during waking hours and directly impairs cognitive function. When you are running on sleep debt, your glymphatic system has not had enough time to complete its cleaning cycle. The result is a brain carrying a chemical load of metabolic waste that directly suppresses prefrontal cortex activity. Your focus, working memory, decision-making speed, and impulse control all drop measurably. Studies from the University of Pennsylvania show that sleeping 6 hours per night for 2 weeks produces the same cognitive impairment as 48 hours of total sleep deprivation. And here is the terrifying part. The sleep-deprived subjects in those studies did not feel impaired. They rated their own performance as fine. The brain loses the ability to accurately assess its own deterioration under sleep debt. You cannot hack your way to focus on a sleep-deprived brain. No system, no technique, no supplement overcomes the fundamental impairment of a brain that hasn't been cleaned. Sleep is the foundation everything else is built on, the fix. Protect the first and last 90 minutes of your sleep window with the same seriousness you protect a critical meeting. Consistent sleep and wake times strengthen your circadian rhythm and increase deep sleep percentage automatically. No screens for 60 minutes before bed. Cool, dark room. If you must cut sleep on a given night, a 20-minute nap between 1 and 3 p.m. partially restores prefrontal function for the remainder of the day. Your attention drain cheat sheet. Drain 1, dopamine baseline collapse. Fix. Lower stimulation inputs 30 minutes before deep work. Drain 2, open loop overload. Fix. 2-minute brain dump before every session. Drain 3, chronic cortisol elevation. Fix. Nervous system downregulation before focus. Breathe, walk, cold water. Drain 4. Scattered intention. Fix. 1 sentence, 1 task, 1 time block. Drain 5. Sleep debt accumulation. Fix. Protect your sleep window like your focus depends on it, because it does. None of these drains are your fault. Every single one of them is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do in an environment it was never designed for. The people who seem to have superhuman focus are not more disciplined than you. They have just, accidentally or intentionally, learned to manage these 5 drains better than average. Now you know what they know. The question is what you do with it. Put your phone down after this video, and not because it's the problem, but because you've got 5 real things to fix now, and one of them requires your full attention. Like this video, if your brain just had a light bulb moment. Subscribe, because next week we are breaking down exactly why willpower runs out, and the biological system you can use instead that never depletes. That one will genuinely change how you approach hard work forever. Let's go.